the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed.
Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano delivered a privileged speech Wednesday afternoon wherein he taunted his rival, Marinduque Lone District Representative Lord Alan Velasco, for his lack of supporters in the House of Representatives. Cayetano and Velasco have a term-sharing agreement for the chamber's top post. Under this deal, which Duterte himself brokered last year, Cayetano will serve as Speaker for the first 15 months of the 18th Congress, while Velasco will finish the remaining 21 months at the chamber's helm.
Let me clarify, Mr. President. He needs to get the votes. So tumingin lang siya. Gumaganon si Presidente. Sabi ko, Mr. President, let me explain. Under the Constitution, you need a majority of all members to be elected Speaker. So I can step aside. But I cannot guarantee he will be elected. In fact, I will make a fearless forecast. Hindi siya mananalo. Or, if I step aside, mananalo siya, after 1 week, makukudita siya. Bakit? Maraming popular sa Kongreso.
According to Cayetano, Velasco insisted to Duterte that the turnover must take place on October 14.
Di, ikaw nga, Alan, wala kang ang supporter no. Mr. President, walang supporter yan. Ako may numero. Sabi ko, pare, sandali lang ha. Mas may numero sa iyo si Martin. Pero hindi yun ang pinag-uusapan. Sabi ko, Mr. President, ang problema, maraming mga kongresista nagsasabing question mark ang kanyang speakership.
Romualdez, the Lakas Christian Muslim Democrats Party president, was also a strong contender for the speakership before the start of the current 18th Congress. He ended up accepting the majority leader's role as part of the term-sharing deal between Cayetano and Velasco. Cayetano offered to resign as Speaker at the end of his speech, but this was rejected by the House plenary in both a voice vote and a nominal vote. For MB Now, this is Elson Quismorio reporting.
Meantime, Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco hit back at Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano last night as he accused the House leader of breaking his word to President Duterte by resorting Wednesday to political maneuverings and theatrics to cling to power. In an Instagram message posted last night, Velasco chided the Speaker for breaking his pledge to Duterte that he will publicly announce his intention to step down as House Leader on October 14. Referring to the results of a meeting with Duterte and leaders of the lower house at Malacanang on Tuesday, Velasco said Cayetano had promised to resign on October 14, allegedly on orders of Duterte for him to honor the term-sharing agreement for the speakership. The Senate Committees on Justice and Human Rights and Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality have approved the proposals to increase to 16 years old the age for determining statutory rape. The committees, chaired by Senator Richard Gordon and Senator Risa Ontiveros, respectively, discussed on Thursday 8 bills seeking to raise the age of consent and the liability of statutory rape in the country. At present, the age of sexual consent under existing laws is 12. Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri lauded the Senate panels for prioritizing the measure, which he said was very timely amid the alarming incidents of child abuse and teenage pregnancy in recent years. Zubiri cited the 2015 National Baseline Study on Violence Against Children, which revealed that 1 in every 5 children aged 13 to 17 years old experienced sexual violence, while 1 in 25 of all respondents experienced forced sex during childhood. Judge Felix Reyes, who spoke for regional trial court judges who have jurisdiction over rape cases, said the increase of age for determining statutory rape would make easier their ruling on such cases. Reyes said it would bolster the argument that minors are not mature enough to discern or consent on sexual acts. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources has not found toxic chemicals on the dolomite sand from the Manila Bay Beach Nourishment Project. This was based on the test results released by its Environment Management Bureau, or EMB, and Mines and Geosciences Bureau, or MGB. EMB and MGB released on Wednesday evening the test results of the analysis conducted on the dolomite sand samples taken from the Beach Nourishment Project on September 18. According to EMB OIC Director William Cuñado, the results of the analysis was compared to the limits set in the revised procedures and standards for the management of hazardous wastes. Basing from the results of the TCLP, the EMB and MGB cited that none of the values obtained from the sample leachate exceeded the limits. Both bureaus conducted testing on the presence of iron, nickel, lead, and mercury. The metals analyzed also include arsenic, barium, cadmium, chromium, lead, mercury, and selenium. The reopening of Boracay to new market sources signals a safe and gradual revival of the country's tourism industry amid the pandemic. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo-Puyat said the island's reopening is a crucial first step to domestic tourism recovery, providing the momentum for domestic tourism all over the country. In a press conference Thursday, Puyat reiterated that while the age restriction has been relaxed to allow travelers below 21 and above 60 years old, only those without underlying medical conditions and those with negative RT-PCR results will be allowed to enter the island. The test should be taken at least 48 hours before travel to the island. A confirmed booking in a DOT-accredited accommodation establishment, air tickets, and the negative test results should be submitted online, although through aklan.gov.ph for the approval of the Aklan provincial government. Each visitor who is cleared to travel to the island will then be issued a unique personal QR code for monitoring. Meanwhile, DOT-accredited hotels will each have a designated health and safety officer who will call the Boracay COVID hotline number 152 should any of the guests exhibit symptoms of the virus. The data from the QR code system will be used to identify the close contacts should a guest test positive for the coronavirus while on the island. We have MBTV head Greggy Eugenio, now live from Boracay Island, to give us some updates. Good afternoon there in Boracay, Greggy.
Good afternoon, Barbie.
Hi, kamusta ang situation? How's the situation? Is Boracay really ready to accept tourists now coming from GCQ and MGCQ areas?
Yes, Barbie, if you're going to ask the OT and the LGU, they are really ready to accept visitors or tourists coming from the GCQ and MGCQ and within the area of Visayas. And napansin naman natin yon when we came here na talagang when we arrived at the airport pa lamang, ready na sila. We have to queue for our verification. And the one thing that is unique here in Boracay is yung nabanggit kanina is about the QR code. So aside from wearing mask, face shield, and your negative result for the RT-PCR test, kailangan yung QR code because everywhere and any place you go here in Boracay, yung QR code ang hahanapin sa'yo at yun ang kailangan para makapasok ka or makakain ka, makabili ka dito sa Boracay.
Greggy, since you arrived there, what was your impression? Okay, ready na yung mga tiga Boracay, but what about the incoming passengers, the incoming tourists? What was your impression of the sentiments there? Kinakabahan ba sila? Excited ba sila? How are they?
Mixed, pareho siya. Excited sila because sa wakas babalik na uling operations ng Boracay, which has been tumagal yata for almost 8 months dahil nga sa pandemic. At the same time, may kaba sapagkat because hindi natin expect anytime na yung mga dumarating dito, kahit nag-negative sila sa Manila, if there any case na mag-positive sila dito at nakasalamuhan nila or they had a close contact with that person, they might be infected. Pero the LGU is saying that they are ready for this situation. And kanina nga madagdag lang natin, according dun sa press con kanina, there are 95 confirmed na nag-book going to Boracay, but then 25 only came here na pumunta dito na physically na nagpunta at nag-appear kanina sa airport. And
Did you find out, Greggy, kung bakit?
Yun, ang dahilan po, sabi ng provincial at maaari ng DOT rin is it's because of the one is the swab testing. Yun daw kasi expensive. The swab testing it will cost you about 4,000.
Okay.
And kumbaga sa ibang mga pasahero, gaya ng mga iba rin kakilala ko, yung 4,000 yun is very expensive for them. Pwede nilang gamitin na sa pamamasyal nila. But then, ang sabi naman ng DOT doon, for now, they will still strictly implement the swab testing, RT-PCR swab testing negative result as they go here in Boracay is one of the requirements. But then they're also considering yung tinatawag na antigen. Ito yung parang yung blood testing. Kasi nga sinasabi rin ni Mayor Bautista ng Malay Municipality, sabi niya na mahalaga din yung blood testing. For example, halimbawa nasa eroplano sila, nakaramdam silang symptoms, right away they could test the blood of that person. And they would determine kung meron ba siyang positive or negative or meron siyang infected ba siya. So for that part, malalaman na kagad nila. Pero for now, since nag-start pa lang sila, sabi nga nila, okay lang na konti, okay lang na iilan pa lang muna magpunta. Basta to make it sure that everyone is safe. Because sabi nila, the Boracay, especially Aklan, is COVID-free province.
Better safe than sorry. No? Now, you've observed already, you've been walking around there since this morning. What's your observation about restaurants, stores, hotels? How strict are they? What are the protocols like?
Dito sa Boracay, talagang strictly implemented din yung social distancing. Makikita mo siya, may mga nakapost sa bawat restaurant. Yung pag-check nga ng QR code at yung parang may health declaration QR code. It can be digital or it can be a physical copy na ipapakita mo sa kanila. I-scan nila yon, and then kapag na-scan nila, they will have the details, and then you can go now inside the restaurant. And then nakakatuwa lang din dito, may mga restaurant na contactless. Kumbaga sa QR din, i-scan mo rin para kung may menu, o-order ka doon, at pag in-order mo na doon, maka-receive na yun ng restaurant at dadali na lang sa'yo.
So physical distancing pa rin talaga. All right. What about the local government, the local authorities? Are they ready to respond just in case may break out, may news that somebody was found to be positive? Have they briefed you about what they're going to do? What are the plans?
Ayun, kanina tinanong natin yan sa provincial, sa governor din at kay Governor Florencio Miraflores at kay Mayor Florivar Bautista. Sabi nila, aminado sila na sa ngayon, ready sila, pero aminado sila for ilan lamang. For example, nagkaroon ng infected, ilan kaya nilang accommodate, but if there would be an influx, that would be a problem.
That's a problem.
Kasi nga dahil meron lang silang isang hospital dito, which is yung Siriaco Torio Hospital, na isang hospital lang dito sa buong island ng Boracay. Pero for now, kung meron halimbawa mag-positive man, they could just easily report to hotel or kung kanino man, especially they can call the 152 COVID hotline. Para makapag-respond agad yung LGU or yung health department ng LGU dito to accommodate those who are positive doon sa COVID.
Well, okay naman yung Greg is here. Hopefully with precautions that have been taken and the care that has been put into it to screen the incoming visitors, yung likelihood na magkaroon ng positive medyo mababa. No? Last question, Greg, this is from me. How do you compare the crowd there now? I mean, you've been there in the past. How do you compare the crowd and the environment? And also follow-up question ko, may nakita ka na ba naka-two-piece dyan?
Alam mo, Barbie, to be honest, this is my first time to
Really?
to visit Boracay. Pero based doon sa mga kwento ng mga nakasama nating media at sa mga ibang tao dito, talaga daw because of the pandemic, nag-heal yung Boracay. Yung parang 8 months na yon, pag nakita mo parang ang ganda na ng Boracay, yung clear yung dagat, tapos yung malinis yung paligid. There are some mga daanan na nagawa, na pinalapad nila, lumaki. Kaya,
that's great to hear.
Kumbaga sabi nila, kung bibisita kayo ng Boracay, compare before, talagang malaking pinagbago niya ngayon.
Okay. So that's a clear indication. It's an even better Boracay now than ever before. Maraming salamat. Greggy, enjoy your stay there and just keep safe, keep well, and we'd like to see you back here in great shape. That's Greggy Eugenio, MBTV head, live from Boracay Island. In Metro News, portable toilets to be installed in Tondo to stop open defecation in Manila Bay. Quezon City government to give students SIM cards with free data. And Mayor Vico urges Pasig scholars who graduated with Latin honors to give back to community. More from this report.
Portable toilets will be installed in Parola Tondo to minimize open defecation in Manila Bay after the Manila City government entered an agreement with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. The Cubetaco project aims to provide dignified toilet facilities to informal settler families in Parola. It is also another one of the Manila City government's ways to show its support to the Manila Bay rehabilitation. A total of 10 million pesos were allotted by the DNR to the City of Manila for the said project and an additional 5 million for the city to cover the operational costs during the implementation of the project. The Quezon City government will give away SIM cards loaded with 10 gigabytes of monthly internet data to local public school students on top of the tablets for the upcoming blended learning classes. Mayor Joy Belmonte granted an award notice to Globe Telecoms that will provide internet connections to public junior and high school students who are also beneficiaries of 176,000 gadgets. The local government said Globe Telecoms has also added security features to the SIM cards to prevent students from accessing certain content and gaming websites and to ensure that the tablets will be used only for learning. Mayor Vico Soto urged Pasig City scholars who graduated with Latin honors to give back to the community in their little ways. The mayor reminded the scholars that the city and its taxpayers have helped them to get through college. According to him, 11 graduates received their incentives earlier this day and called other scholars who haven't received yet may still send the requirements to the scholarship office. Pasig City gives 30,000 to summa cum laude, 25,000 to magna cum laude, and 20,000 to cum laude graduates.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Baguio City posts highest recovery cases, but 92 police trainees afflicted with COVID-19. Teenage cousins from Leyte work double time to buy internet access for online schooling. And Army thwarts NPA arson attempt in Agusan del Norte. More from this report.
The country's summer capital posted its highest number of recoveries from the coronavirus disease in a single day on Wednesday, but 92 police trainees assigned at the Baguio City Police Office and detailed as frontliners during the start of the pandemic are afflicted with the coronavirus disease. Majority of the new COVID-19 cases in the city were contacts of current cases, including Barangay Lower Lourdes subdivision, where most of the affected police trainees live in one compound. The police force in the city remains to be in high morale despite the surge in the number of COVID-19 cases involving members of the PNP. Data from Baguio COVID-19 for the month of September showed that the city recorded a total of 603 cases with 267 recoveries. Two teenage cousins from Leyte are working double time to be able to buy a router and access to the internet for their online classes. Cousins Alexis, 12 years old, and RJ Malto, 15 years old, of MacArthur, Leyte, are working part-time with their fathers in a local Copra trader to save up for their school needs. RJ said that they are working hard to buy routers and have access to the internet to communicate with their teachers and classmates since there will be no face-to-face classes this school year. Alexis is an incoming grade 7 while RJ is an incoming grade 10 and are consistent honor students. They hope to become seafarers one day and they have high hopes that they will be able to overcome poverty through education. Troops of the Army's 29th Infantry Battalion foiled an attempt by the Communist New People's Army terrorists to torch an irrigation construction site and engage them in a firefight in a barangay in Agusan del Norte on Tuesday. The NPAs reportedly fled after clashing with the government troops for 5 minutes and left their personal stuff and container with gasoline that they were supposed to use for arson. No one was hurt on the government side, while several NPAs reportedly suffered injuries.
In world news, World Bank to allocate $12 billion to help poor countries buy COVID-19 vaccines. Israel passes law to limit protests during virus emergency. And flying doctors, UK air ambulance tests paramedic jet suit. Let's watch this report.
As the virus showed no sign of receding after claiming more than 1 million lives around the world, health groups announced that up to 100 million additional doses of any eventual COVID-19 vaccines will be secured for delivery to poorer countries in 2021. The public-private health partnership stressed that the eventual total is potentially several times greater and said the price would be capped at $3 per dose. As humanity struggles against COVID-19, the World Health Organization said this week that some 120 million rapid tests will soon be made available to low and middle income countries if funding can be secured. The kits, faster, cheaper, and easier to administer than standard polymerase chain reaction or PCR swab tests, but also less reliable, will be rolled out across 133 countries in the next 6 months. Israel's parliament approved a law early Wednesday restricting demonstrations as part of the coronavirus-related state of emergency. The critics say is aimed at silencing protests against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The law, which passed its final reading by 46 votes to 38, was meant to be a part of a slew of measures approved by the parliament on Friday, tightening a second nationwide lockdown. The new law gives the government powers to declare a special emergency caused by the coronavirus pandemic for renewable periods of 1 week. Emergency responders and engineers in Britain have successfully tested the world's first jet suit paramedic, which could transform how lifesavers reach isolated casualty sites. The Great North Air Ambulance Service, which provides emergency air response across swathes of northern England, said it had helped flight test the 1,050 brake horsepower jet suit in the Lake District National Park. Video simulated exercise shows Browning wearing a helmet, goggles, and red flight suit, equipped with the jetpack-style device, powering off the ground and zooming through the air just above the surface of the rocky terrain. The maker of this flying jet see the importance of the invention in reaching some patients much quicker in this time of pandemic.
In entertainment, the movie Fangirl, written and directed by Antoinette Hadaune, is among the films selected for the new Tokyo Premiere 2020 section of the 33rd Tokyo International Film Festival, set to run from October 31 to November 9. The film, about a fan obsessing on her idol, is up against 31 other films from the Audience Award and is the only Filipino film in the lineup. It stars heartthrob Paolo Avellino and newcomer Charlie Dizon. In sports, 4 PBA teams on Thursday began holding 5-on-5 scrimmages at the Angeles University Foundation after spending the past 3 days waiting for a negative result of their swab tests. Magnolia and Meralco were the first to use the 2 available courts inside the AUF campus at 1 p.m., marking the first time that scrimmages were held since the COVID-19 pandemic halted all PBA activities. Phoenix Super LPG and Terra Firma were due to hold their own sessions at 3:30 p.m. before TNT wraps up the schedule at 8 p.m., with disinfection procedures being done in between the sessions. Aside from the gym, AUF also installed a second court which was borrowed from the Philippine Arena in a multi-purpose hall of the campus. San Miguel Beer, Barangay Ginebra, Rain or Shine, NLEX, Northport, Alaska, and Blackwater are scheduled to start practice on Friday, also at the AUF. Alaska and Blackwater practice at 9 a.m., Ginebra will train at 11, NLEX at 2 p.m., Northport 4:30, and SMB at 7 p.m. The aforementioned 7 teams also underwent room quarantine after arriving at Quest Hotel last Tuesday. And those are the news on web today, October 1, 2020. It's 85 days before Christmas. For more news and details, get your copy of Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph, or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. This has been MB Now. Join us again tomorrow. Be fully informed.